Russia. The name conjures images of vast, snow-covered landscapes, enigmatic leaders, and a history that makes your head spin. From the Vikings to the tumultuous 20th century, Russia's story is epic. Conquests, revolutions, and cultural upheavals are woven into its fabric. It's a land where empires rise and fall like the seasons. So buckle up, comrades. We're about to embark on a whirlwind tour of Russian history. Grab your Roshankas and let's dive in. Our story begins with the Vikings, those intrepid Scandinavian seafarers. They sailed down the rivers of Eastern Europe, establishing trading posts and a federation known as Kievan Rus. Kievan Rus, centered around Kiev, emerged as a powerful East Slavic state in the 9th century. They adopted Christianity in 988 AD under Prince Vladimir, shaping Russian culture for centuries. Fast forward a few centuries, and things were about to get more interesting. Enter the Mongols, a nomadic powerhouse from Central Asia, led by Genghis Khan and his descendants. They swept across Eurasia in the 13th century, conquering Kievan Rus by the mid-1200s. Thus began a period of Mongol rule that lasted over 2 centuries. Russians had to pay tribute, adopt new customs, and keep their heads down. But they also learned about centralized government and military strategy. Think of it as a crash course in how to rule an empire for dummies. By the 16th century, the Mongols were on their way out, and a new power was rising, the Grand Duchy of Moscow. Leading the charge was Ivan IV, better known as Ivan the Terrible. Ivan expanded Russian territory, centralized power, and established the Tsardom of Russia. He was ambitious, ruthless, and prone to fits of paranoia. He even had his own version of the secret police, the Oprichnina. Not exactly the kind of guy you'd want to share a samovar with, but he definitely left his mark on Russian history. Fast forward a few centuries, and Russia found itself on the brink of another major upheaval. World War I had taken its toll, and the Romanov dynasty was hanging on by a thread. The Russian people were tired of war, poverty, and inequality. Enter the Bolsheviks, led by Vladimir Lenin, who aimed to overthrow the Tsar and establish a communist state. In 1917, they got their chance. The February Revolution toppled the Tsar, and the October Revolution brought the Bolsheviks to power. The Russian Empire was replaced by the Soviet Union, a vast communist state. It was a time of great upheaval and uncertainty, laying the groundwork for the Russia we know today. The Soviet Union was a major player on the world stage for much of the 20th century. It endured a brutal civil war, emerged victorious from World War II, and engaged in a decades-long Cold War with the United States. But by the 1980s, the Soviet system was beginning to crumble. Economic stagnation, political repression, and the Chernobyl disaster all took their toll. In 1991, the Soviet Union officially dissolved, breaking up into 15 independent republics, including the Russian Federation. It was a momentous event, marking the end of an era and the beginning of a new chapter in Russian history. Imagine a giant piñata suddenly bursting open. That's kind of what the collapse of the Soviet Union was like. So, where does that leave Russia today? Well, it's complicated. Russia is a country in transition, still grappling with the legacy of its past and trying to define its place in the 21st century, as well as your relationships with your neighbors. It's a land of controversies and contrasts, where ancient traditions coexist with modern technology. One thing's for sure, Russia is never boring. From its tumultuous history to its vibrant culture and enigmatic leaders, Russia continues to fascinate and confound the world. So there you have it, a whirlwind tour of Russian history. If you liked the video, leave a comment and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Albo.